Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Bhaktavyadi Satavarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayadvaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Parivrajaka Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda Ki Jai. Namacharya Sridhar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktabinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kundigiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai. Navadip Tham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Well, welcome to all, and especially to Kahantri Mataji, to Apurva and Kamalini. And it looks like we have Deva Deva, the Prabhu there with Radhesha.
They're still doing kirtan in the background, so I muted us.
Okay.
And Lalit Prasad is with us.
Lalita Sharan.
Prasad,
Oh, Lalit Prasad. Okay.
God brother.
Wonderful. Welcome, welcome. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jaina Putale Swayam Rupa Koda Maikyam Tadhati Shapatantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalai Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sarivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Deen Panto Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Well, welcome again to this Istagosthi, an hour in which pretty much anything goes, any topic that you'd like to raise, any thoughts you might like to express or questions you might like to put forward.
We have a question.
We have a question.
Yeah, this was in our reading. This just an hour ago.
Yes.
Okay, you can go to chapter 28, text number 18.
This is, wait, what book?
Srimad Bhagavatam. Sorry, Canto 3, chapter 28.
3:28:18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lalit Prasad, did you want to ask it? Okay. I'll read the purport. There's some significant sentences it says another significant word in this verse is Punya Shloka Yashashkaram. The devotee is called Punya Shloka. As one becomes purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Can you understand this? Are you?
Hare Krishna.
Is it easy to understand? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. As one becomes purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord, so one can become purified simply by chanting the name of a holy devotee. The pure devotee of the Lord and the Lord himself are non-different. It is sometimes feasible to chant the name of a holy devotee. This is a very sanctified process. So we're wondering, yeah, what does this actually mean? Because then we were discussing, well, one can chant Shiva's name or this name or different pure devotees of the Lord. What is the distinction?
Well, the first thing is, first of all, let me just get the context there. You just catch the verse itself. Okay. I want you to meditate on the glories of the Lord or the glories of the devotees. Kirtanya Tirtha Yashasham Punya Shloka Yashashkaram Jaye Devam Samagrangam Yavanat Shavate Maha. Okay. So the to Krishna means he's always with his devotees. So if we remember Krishna, we remember Krishna with his devotees, or if we remember the devotees, we remember the devotees with Krishna. So to chant the names of Krishna is purifying, or to chant the names of the devotees. Sri Rup Sanatana Patra Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopal Patra Dasa Raghunath, Narottam Das Thakur is chanting. So the not only Krishna's names, but the names of the devotees are purifying. Of course, Lord Shiva, if we're chanting Lord Shiva's name in the mood that he's a devotee, then I see no problem there. The problem is that people think that Lord Shiva is also God. There's no difference between Lord Shiva and Krishna. But the name of Shiva himself, it means auspicious. So he's auspicious, his name is auspicious, his qualities are auspicious. Despite what Maharaj Daksha might have said, he's all auspicious. So the devotee understands that and honors Lord Shiva. There's nothing wrong there. But if one thinks that Shiva is also identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that we can chant Shiva or Krishna or Durga, Ganesh, and it's all the same, that's Namaparad. Same thing, the gopis are worshipping Katyayani. Katyayani is Durga. So, but it doesn't mean that they're demigod worshippers. They're worshipping the goddess with the prayer that if we've ever pleased you, then kindly allow us to have Krishna as our husband. So the devotees worship the demigods, but with that purpose. Rukmini was praying to Shiva and Parvati, please let me be engaged. Let Krishna come kidnap me. Now that's allowed. I told the story before that one time we were walking in Vrindavan, devotees, with Srila Prabhupada, and there was a kind of a raised platform with a covering, a roof, and there's some little temple there, like a little shrine, and there was some incense and music playing. So Prabhupada got up on the platform to see, and he saw that it was a shrine of Durga. So Prabhupada offered full dandavats. And then he, if I remember, full dandavats, or anyway, he bowed down before the, I think dandavats, before the picture of the shrine of Durga. And then he recited Shristi Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rek, that verse. And he said, we're also worshiping Durga, but not like the materialists. Give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. But with the mood that please let us be engaged in the service of Krishna. Is that okay?
I just wanted to ask Lalit Prasad if he was complete, because I had invited him to ask the question first, and then I upped the ante because I didn't want to lose our place in line. Sometimes.
Yes, thank you.
Is there, are you, maybe you, Lalit, you'd like to say something?
Well, basically, Maharaj confirmed what I said in the first. My idea or my take on that purport was that as we sing the prayers to the 6 Swamis, repeatedly in New Vrindavan, I mean, the song is played repeatedly at the temple in New Vrindavan in the mornings. That is also, I said, my take on it was that we also sing the names of the 6 Goswamis and the devotees of, Krishna, which Maharaj mentioned all the time, and so on. But yes, I'm trying to make the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalit Prasad Prabhu.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is Chaitanya Bhavdas. So Maharaj, I had a question about the same thing. So basically here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that one can be purified simply by chanting the name of a holy devotee. So and he says that this is a very this can be a feasible process or a sanctified process. So so as we know, in terms of Krishna's names, if one chants with understanding or without understanding, like there is Nama Bhas, like in the case of Ajamil and others. So there is you still derive the benefit, even if you chant it without meaning or even in broken forms, etc. So what I'm understanding here is that kind of potency of chanting the name without having the proper understanding probably does not apply then to the pure devotees like Lord Shiva, who could be like that understanding is important, that they are devotees of Krishna and not independent.
The main thing is not to have a misunderstanding. We may not fully understand the glories of Lord Shiva or the glories of the 6 Goswamis, but we shouldn't misunderstand, thinking that these exalted persons are also on the same level as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every respect. That becomes Namaparad.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. I see an Athena hat.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I'd like
Today-
to Hare Krishna. I'd like to thank Apurva Prabhu for bringing up this question, because it seems quite controversial in this of, I apologize if I were to apply it to say the Christian faith, those who believe, I know there are, say, Jehovah Witnesses who and I think it's like the Unitarians who see Jesus as guru, as a devotee. But I would say my understanding is the vast majority of Christians and Catholics believe Jesus is God. And so if we apply this, you could, if I were to read this purport, you could say God and his devotees, pure devotees, are non-different. So if you were to worship and chant the names of Jesus, you could be purified as well. And in one
Yes.
sense, you could. Yep. Sorry, more thoughts, but yes. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, to chant the names of the devotees is purifying. So if one remembers Jesus, chants the name of Jesus, that's also purifying. By the way, as far as the identity of Jesus has been problematic for Christianity since the early centuries of Christian faith. There were there was a big more than a difference of opinion, a huge controversy. One side with bishops and so on in each side. One side saying that Jesus is fully God, and if you don't acknowledge that, you're failing to recognize his divinity, which is an offense. And the other side was saying, well, if you don't see that he's fully human, then you're denying his sacrifice. You're denying the magnitude of his sacrifice, so that's an offense. So both sides were throwing rocks at one another, figuratively speaking, and it was very difficult for them to sort it out. That apart, we accommodate these things in with our understanding of oneness and difference. On one side, Jesus is the Son of God. He says, I'm standing on the right, seated on the right side of God. And on the other side, he says that I and the Father are one. Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. So these seem to be contradictory points of view, and even these texts have been cited for the proponents of one side of the argument or the other. But we take it that there's not a problem here. Both things are true. There's oneness and there's also distinction. So the same as leaving aside Christianity for the moment, we have the same understanding. Sakshat Haritena Samasta Shastra. The spiritual master is not different from God. Kintu Prabhuya Priya Evatish, because he's very dear to God. So he's one with God, and at the same time, he's different from God. So this understanding harmonizes the different available points of view. Is that okay?
Thank you. If I could finish the thought,
Mhm.
In one sense, thinking Jesus is God seems like it would be nam aparad, just like thinking Shiva, who is a pure devotee, is God. Yet, if you were to worship and pray and fully surrender to a pure devotee, you get also purified. And I'm guessing the concept is that when you fully absorb your mind on an object or entity, you begin to embody those qualities and such. So, and mercy comes down because pure devotees are very dear to the Lord. So if one is, say, fully absorbed and worshiping and praying to Jesus or Shiva, and is very dear, and these devotees are very dear to the Lord, and they become purified. If they can become pure devotees by loving and absorbing their mind, and say worshiping the pure devotees of the Lord, then they thus become purified, and then they'll go to Krishna. So ultimately, either way, your destination will be Krishna because you get purified, and a pure devotee goes to Krishna.
Yeah, Mad Bhakta Puja Vyadika, the devotee is more worshipable than I am, Krishna says. But it's just so easy to misunderstand and think that the devotee somehow displaces Krishna. That one has to understand things properly. But you're right, just like the ghosts, by the mercy of Krishna, of Lord Shiva, they're elevated to human life, and they may gradually go further.
So to clarify though, with that logic, when you say when you become purified, you go to perhaps you can interpret it as two ways. One, you automatically get purified, you're pure, so your next destination will be to the spiritual world because, or again, what you remember, death, what you absorb your mind on and heart, you will attain. So perhaps say there's a plan of Jesus or a plan of Shiva, and then from there, see, that doesn't make sense. As a pure devotee, then you are given knowledge to worship the supreme. Is it like it's a midway? You become purified from being the pure devotee, then thus you bhakti and you worship Krishna, or because you're purified from the pure devotee, you're already pure, so you go back to go to Vaikuntha, and it's not like there's no you make it.
Yeah, everything is, of course, an individual case. Yeah, Prabhin rightly says, how can one go to Godhead when one chants the pure devotee's name and thinks him supreme, committing nam aparad? So one has to, of course, one becomes purified, then one understands, yes, actually, my Lord is a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The ideal of honoring Lord Shiva is found, for example, with the Prachetas, with Gop Kumar, where they meet Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva directs them toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that way, they get the mercy of Lord Shiva, but directing them to Krishna. But yes.
So we're confirming that if you become purified by worshiping the devotee, you wouldn't make it to the spiritual world, as Prabhin Prabhu mentioned, as well as
and if you become purified, then you get the purified understanding.
Right.
This deity is the servant of Krishna.
And then you thus
You're breaking up.
Oh, and then from there, then you worship the Supreme Lord, having pure knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
think Tulsi
And what
Krishna
else is on in our thoughts today, I wonder?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Accept my obeisances. So my question is, and my husband and I have been discussing some things for a number of days now, and I think maybe it's a little bit crystallized that I can ask the question.
Mhm.
It has to do with knowledge versus realization, or jnana versus vijnana. And I'm trying to remember how I put it to him last night. I'm having difficulty, but it seems like, person comes to Krishna consciousness and they receive knowledge and they practice the process and they get more knowledge, they become more purified. But there's a kind of, what am I thinking? A sort of a hurdle or a point which the realization, vijnana, is not something that you can create on your own. It's something that's given to you by Krishna. Or am I mistaken in thinking that? And I have follow-up to that.
We find that in the passage we've been discussing in the classes.
Yeah.
Where the Lord tells Brahma, now, I think this will come up maybe in tomorrow's verse, where the Lord says, now let all of this be manifest to you. My name, my form, my qualities, by my mercy. So began, Didami Buddhi Yogam. Vijnanam is certainly something that's received. Even Gyan is not possible without the mercy of the Lord.
So to follow up, I guess I'm thinking about my own situation, things that I hear about with regard to other devotees, some of them very advanced, apparently, or prominent, some of them not so advanced and prominent. I feel like I've also brought up the issue of, like, say somebody is apparently very advanced and they fall down, and or they, there's some fall down, whether it's complete and total or it's temporary, or some fall down. So is it right? Is it correct to understand, and I still have follow-up after this, that the realization is either not there, or it's incomplete, or the person is weak, or there's
You see what happened in the case of Bharat Maharaj. He
right,
was in Bhav,
right,
which is no small thing. The prior stage of love of Godhead. But somehow he became distracted, and his attention and sympathies went to a small deer, and he lost his focus and fell down. So it's not that he didn't have anything, he did, but there was some discrepancy, and because of that discrepancy, he went off course. But swalpam apyasya dharmasya, it was revived. Parvadehikam, from the knowledge of his previous birth, came to him in the next birth.
So in terms of surrender to a spiritual master, how, I mean, sometimes people like to throw around this, you have to be a pure Maha Bhagavata and whatever, but it seems that there has to be, how do you recognize if somebody is self-realized? Because I don't feel qualified to judge. I was talking about this with my husband last night. I said, I feel confident based on his symptoms and his activities and the books that he wrote, that Prabhupada was completely self-realized. It seemed that everything was out there for everybody to see. But I cannot say that and I'm not saying this is any reflection on any devotee, within myself, that I feel that same confidence necessarily about others, because everything is not out there with them necessarily. And so I wonder, how do you know? How do you know if somebody is self-realized? And how do you ascertain, or what do you do?
Yeah. Of course, how can we know anything? But
True.
we have to see, what is this person. Prabhupada said we have to see who's most addicted to Krishna. That hint he gave to George Harrison. We have to see how he's addicted to Krishna. What is that? Shushushaya Bhajana Vigyam Ananya Manya Nindadi Shunya Idamipsita Sangalabhya. Sri Rupa Goswami gives the description. Shushushaya Bhajana Vigyam. When there's a devotee who has great faith and he's very expert in Krishna bhajan, devotional service, bhajana vigyam, ananya manya, no other business but Krishna's service. And nindadi shunya, when his heart is free from the tendency to criticize others, especially, and other such, what would you say, discrepancies or blots on his character. Vidamipsita, then we should be very keen to get his association. Srila Rupa Goswami gives that guidance.
Could I ask another follow-up?
Mm.
So in our discussion last night, I was trying to unravel a distinction in my mind, and maybe you can tell me if this is correct or not. And I came up with the example of, let's say somebody is the president of the United States, analogous to somebody who's in the position of a guru or a leader or something like that. So somebody is the president of the United States, but they may or may not be, their patriotism may or may not be complete and total. So for instance, somebody may be patriotic enough to, develop the qualifications that get him into a position of leadership, but then there's some discrepancy and his patriotism is incomplete and he sells secrets to the Russians or whatever. So we respect the position and the position is valid, but the person himself may not be living up to that position completely. And so I'm not sure where to take it from there, but I was just wondering if it's, in terms of honoring Vaishnavas in certain positions, even when there is some discrepancy, we appreciate the position, we appreciate the role. And my husband had also brought up instances of, like, let's say Brihaspati, who is a very elevated personality and, committed things that were not right. So he had the position, he had the role, he was qualified, but within he was not 100% occupying that role fully. There was a discrepancy. Is that kind of a way to understand it? Or is it?
Well, you've raised two questions. One is about honoring a post, and the other is about the qualification of the person.
Mhm.
And it seems that, well, first of all, there is something to be said for honoring a post. The example, I've mentioned it before, that when Sanatana Goswami was studying with the Brahmins on the plea of being sick, and Hussein Shah entered the assembly, all the Brahmins stood up to respect him because he was the king. So he was a mlecha, he was so many things, but he was the king. So they all honored him. The honor thy mother and thy father, the same thing is there in Vedic Shastra. We don't first say, well, yeah, but he did this and he did that. And just the post is honored. By virtue of their being mother or being father, being king, being whatever, having some respectable position. It's taken that this is by the grace of God. And so he's representing the Lord in that capacity, and he's offered respect. Atiti Devo Bhava. An uninvited guest is considered like God. We don't first do an inventory of his qualities and say, okay, we'll treat you like God, but not the next guy who's got a different, no. By virtue of his being a titi, an uninvited guest, he's treated like God. So that's there, that's recognized. What is that? Deva Dvija Guru Pragya Pujanam Shochamarjavam Brahmacharjam Himsa Cha Shariram Tapuchate. This is authorized tapasya in the mode of goodness to worship the Lord, the Brahmins, the Guru, the respectable seniors. So the post is honored. That's the duty of a cultured person. At the same time, Guru is not just a post. In ISKCON, sometimes we tend to think of it that way. This person is an authorized ISKCON Guru, and that's some sort of a post. And then there are people who are not authorized ISKCON Gurus, so they're sort of the they haven't made the grade, or they're we pass them by, or we don't give them the same respect because they're not authorized ISKCON Gurus. But in Vedic culture, there's no such thing as an authorized ISKCON Guru. All the devotees are to be respected, but particularly one's own Guru. It's not that somebody's an authorized ISKCON Guru, then when he comes, everybody chants Sri Guru Charana Padma and all of that, because now he's achieved that post. It was never meant to be an institutional post, but there's one's own Guru that's a different story. Then even if he's not an authorized ISKCON guru, he may not be an ISKCON member or whatever the situation. Still, he should be respected. And those who are not authorized ISKCON gurus, they may be senior devotees or junior, but whoever is engaged in the service of the Lord should be respected. And again, Rupa Goswami's guidance is there. Anyone who's chanting, we respect him, at least in the mind. Anyone who's initiated, we offer obeisances to. And those who are very advanced, we're keen to associate with. So we recognize this independent of any particular, whether he got the nod from the the deputies committee and this committee and that committee, and now he's an authorized ISKCON guru. That's not really the criterion. Who's advanced? Who's advanced? So when searching out a guru or a spiritual guide, it's not just that we look for an institutional stamp of approval, and then we say, oh yes, he must be a bona fide guru, or I should take initiation from him. We should see what are his qualities. What faith do I have in his guidance, and so on. Not just that it's a post. Yes.
What do you think of various grassroots movements by rank and file devotees to put pressure on the managing authority, the GBC, to act on certain situations that happen in the movement, in the society?
What do I think about it? I probably don't think about it. Grassroots movements to put pressure. I prefer if I were on the GBC, I'd rather see carefully reasoned thoughts than just pressure. Yeah, if I were a GBC man, I think I would respond better to carefully reasoned arguments or well-articulated thoughts, or even if one is not particularly eloquent, still something sensible, something with persuasive value to it, other than, there's 150 of us who've signed this petition, and that's no small thing, and we expect, that you'll be responsive and all of that. Argumentum ad populum is not held in high esteem as a great argument.
To clarify, I guess what I mean is I don't think that these grassroots movements to appeal to the GBC or to demand of the GBC are necessarily devoid of logical arguments, but I guess the fact that they go on in the public sphere because for whatever reason they don't feel.
Well, it's kind of natural, I don't, just thinking about it sort of on the spot. People have, the government is by nature, has a relationship with those who are governed. And the governed have a right to approach the government. Who was it? The Brahmin approached the gates of the palace and said, "This king is no good. My sons are all dying before I am. What kind of king do we have here?" So he had a right to bring his grievances to the king, and he did it publicly too. So those who have some grievance or concern are entitled to bring them to the government. The kings used to tour. This was current in Vedic society, even in Islamic society, the same thing was there. The king would tour and set up camp, or really set up court, and anyone could approach him. Your Majesty, this is my problem. And the king would take it very seriously. My citizen has a problem. And he would attend to it. He would attend to it on the spot. That would be the kings would do that. I had that experience. I wasn't a king, but I was traveling with Lokanath Maharaj. We on Padayatra, we came to Varanasi, and we were with our Gornatai, TD card and all of that. But this Ram Janaki Rath was going around, a procession with Ram and Janaki, led by political leaders who were creating serious communal disturbance, as they say. And so there'd been an ordinance, no DD carts in Varanasi district. So we were stopped at the police station and couldn't enter. So what can we do? You have to go to the district magistrate. We went to his office. To make a long story short, the president of India was coming to Varanasi that day. So he was super busy, rushing here, rushing there. So on his way out to his car to receive some dignitary at the airport, he saw that we were sitting there, two sadhus. So he stopped for a second and said, "Come with me." And he sat down in his car and rolled down the window and said, "What's the problem, Swamiji?" And I started to explain, we've been stopped in this. He stopped me, he said, "Tell me in one sentence." I told him in one sentence. He barked off a couple of orders. He said, "Don't worry, Swamiji, everything will be all right." And it was. So that's how the person in charge, that's what's expected of a person in charge, that he should attend to the problems of the citizens in such a way that things will be properly addressed. Now, of course, it becomes difficult because one citizen wants, for him, justice means excuse this poor person. The others are saying, off with his head. So it puts the government in a difficult position. Of course, Krishna was in that position with, or Arjuna was in that position with Ashwatthama, and Krishna solves the issue. But not everyone is so fortunate as to have Krishna right there solving the problem for him.
Thank you very much.
How did he solve the problem?
He, well, on the one side, Ashwatthama was to be killed because he butchered the sleeping sons of Draupadi, and Arjuna had promised to bring the culprit's head. And the other side, he was the son of a Brahmin. He was the son of their teacher, Dronacharya. Draupadi was saying, "No, please don't kill him." So, but Bhima was saying, "No, you should kill him." Even Krishna was saying you should kill him. So both sides had their point, and both sides had respected people advocating for it. And so Krishna directed Arjuna that you cut off his jewel and his top knot. Ashwatthama had some distinguishing jewel, which was like indicative of his special privilege or special qualities. So Arjuna cut off that jewel and cut off his top knot, which killed him and didn't kill him. It meant disgracing him, but it also meant saving his life. And they drove him out of the camp. So he was both killed and not killed by the direction of Krishna. So it's difficult to be, the GBC is in a tough position. There was a Larson cartoon that showed some devils, there's a craggy scene of like a mountainous craggy scene with seems to be leading down to the infernal region, and there's this person who's being prodded on by devils, and he's facing two doors, and on one door it says damned if you do, and the other damned if you don't. Praveen. Okay. Is anyone experiencing low volume on my audio? I can't answer that.
Sounds good over here.
Okay.
Good.
And Tulsi Priya says, like a true magician, Pyari Mohan Prabhu appeared and then disappeared. Yeah. Yes. Mystic powers. Something else?
Are you well, Maharaj?
Excuse me?
Are you well?
Am I well? Well, well, well. My mind has difficulty. Country, careful there. My mind has difficulty focusing on the holy name. That's not so good. Otherwise, I'm going on.
I aspire to your lack of focus.
Better to aspire for something else if you don't mind.
It would be a step up.
Maybe better to skip that step and take 2 steps up. Yes, Meena.
How much of progress that we make is our own effort, and how much of it is Krishna helping us?
How much is our own effort and how much is Krishna helping us? Well, I'd never seen proportions assigned, but both things are there, that our effort is needed. Yayata mam prapajante, as one surrenders to me, tam stataya upajamyaham, I respond proportionately. Of course, Prabhupada said you take 1 step toward Krishna and Krishna takes 10 steps toward you. So finally, how much can we do? Ultimately, like Prabhupada used to quote his father, that if Krishna gives to you, takes away everything with his 1,000 hands, how can you hold on to it with your 2 hands? And if Krishna wants to give you something with his 1,000 hands, how can you, adequately accept it with only 2 hands? So finally, Krishna's all powerful. Krishna's the ultimate truth. Krishna's all merciful. Everything's possible by the mercy of Krishna. But Krishna looks to see our sincerity, our effort. We were reading the other night in Bhagavatam that Krishna wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in the Lord's service. It's not that we just sort of goof off and wait for the mercy of the Lord. But when a devotee sees that when Krishna sees that a devotee is very serious, then Krishna thinks that let me help this person. Or sometimes just causelessly, the devotee or Krishna favors someone. Prabhupada humbly said in his own case, my Guru Maharaj just liked me, that's all. Said, you may be a dog, but if your spiritual master likes you. So that's there, that just by therefore it's called causeless mercy. That we may not be qualified, we may not, we may not be qualified, but if the spiritual master wants to be merciful, or Krishna wants to be merciful, who can stop them? So generally, we try to be deserving of mercy. We try to serve nicely. We try to practice strictly. But we know finally that everything is dependent on Krishna's mercy. And our effort counts for something, certainly. But it's ultimately Krishna's mercy that's the deciding factor. Is that okay?
Yes. What,
Sounds like, sounds like not so convinced, yes.
well, what is Krishna's mercy?
In what sense do you ask that?
Well, here's a flower garland from the deity. It's
That's
Krishna's
also-
mercy.
Yes.
Here's some sweets from the morning offering. Krishna's mercy.
Depends if you're fat or not.
What
Well,
other kinds of mercy?
Generally, we think of mercy, and mercy is personal. Someone is, what is that? Karunika. What is that verse? Surida Sarvadehinam Tatikshava Karunika. So one of the qualities of a devotee is Karunika, merciful. Merciful is something from the heart. It's a feeling. Living entities have thoughts, they have desires, and they have feelings. So there's this feeling called mercy. There's a feeling called mercy, compassion. It's felt in the material world. We feel compassionate for someone who lost a child or someone who was, this or that. It's you could say, human feeling. Or someone wants to help some unfortunate person. So there's that feeling of mercy. He's not obliged. He doesn't, no one's decreed, you have to give this, you have to give that. But he feels something, that this poor person, I should help them. I should help them. And that feeling is there in the sadhus, in the hard-hearted persons. But let him rot. He deserved it. Let him go to hell. What's he ever done for me? What's it to me? But just like Vasudev Dutt, he's thinking, let everyone's sins come on me, but let them be delivered. So that's a feeling. In his case, an intense and deep feeling of mercy, of kindness, of wanting good fortune for the unfortunate. And that feeling of mercy is hugely present in Krishna. And it's manifest in especially in the person of Srimati Radharani. Prabhupada said the the, what is it, tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Lord. So she's very merciful. Karunamayi. So then the mercy is manifest in particular forms, in the form of Mahaprasadam, in the form of the association of devotees, in the form of so many things. But ultimately, it's a personal quality, of personal emotional quality that's present in the heart of the Supreme Lord. You know, if someone's kind or considered, we say, oh, that person really has a heart. But what kind of heart does Krishna have? He's the most kind. And if he's not the most kind, then he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's still more kind. Krishna's a little stern. Mamekam Sharanam Braja. You surrender and I'll protect you. The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just chant Hare Krishna. He's more merciful. All right. We're at 8 o'clock, I think. We can stop here. And thank you to all. Hare Krishna. Srila
Thank you, Maharaj.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hi.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Haribo.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, that was
Hare
me.
Krishna. There's Doug in the corner. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.